Hello guys, welcome to my channel, and if today is your first time, you're also welcome. My name is Edebo. Today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this beautiful top with an asymmetric neckline and an asymmetric waistline with gathers on it. If this is something you're interested in, please keep on watching. So the basic things you'll be needing are 2 yards of any African print of your choice. Yours can be more depending on your size, and you can make use of any other fabric. And the basic measurements you'll be needing are your bust point, your half length, your hip point, your full length, your sleeve length, your round sleeve, your bust circumference, your waist circumference, and your hip circumference. I'll be drafting for the front of the top first before the back. I'm gonna head to fold my fabric in two, making sure that the fabric on fold is my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches for seam allowance. I'm using the biggest part of my body to calculate the width of the fabric because the top goes down to the hip. Okay, if your bust is bigger than your hip, you can make use of your bust. Okay, next thing I'll be moving on to is imputing all the necessary body length for my gown. I'll be coming down a little bit from the tip of the fabric and I'll draw a straight line on it. This will be my starting point where all my measurements will start from. I will also be regarded as my shoulder line. I'll be placing my tape on the line, that is the shoulder line, to my bust point and mark it out. I will then extend it to the sides of the fabric, okay, in a straight line. Next thing to get is my waist length. I will still be placing my tape on my shoulder line down to my waist length and mark it out, and then extend it to the sides of the fabric. Next thing to get is my hip point. I'll be placing my tape on my waistline to my hip point, and then I will mark it out, and then I will extend it to the side of the fabric this way with my ruler. This is where I will stop for the top. You can decide to make yours longer. You can decide to make yours shorter. Okay, I just want the asymmetric before the gathers to stop at my hip. I'll be going back to my shoulder line to get my shoulder length and the armhole of my top. And on this line, I'll be measuring out my shoulder length. And to get that, I'll be dividing my back width, that is my shoulder to shoulder measurement, by 2 minus 7 inches. After I divided it, I will now come in on the line by 7 inches and mark it out. And then I will come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Our shoulders are not straight, hence the 1 inches I came down with. Okay, I will then connect that 1 inch to the shoulder line with my ruler this way. From the shoulder slope, I'll be coming down for my armhole depth, that is where my arm will pass through. And to get the measurement to use, I'll be dividing my bust circumference by 6. Okay, and whatever I get, I will then add up 1.5 inches to the figure. Okay, and whatever I get after this measurement, I'll be coming down from the slope by the figure and mark it out. I will then draw a line to the side of the gown. This will be my bust line or my chest line for my gown. I will also connect the 2 points together in a straight line in order to get the armhole curve. I will measure the armhole depth to get the midpoint and mark it out. I will then come in on the line by 0.5 inch. Okay, I'll be coming in by my bust circumference divided by 4 on my chest line, and I will mark it out. Okay, I will then connect from the shoulder slope to the new point and to the point on the chest line in a curved line this way, my curve ruler. And that's all on the armhole curve and the armhole depth. Okay, moving on, the next thing I'll be doing is to get my dart intake, and to do that, I'll be making use of my bust span, that is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I'll be coming in by the figure I got on my bust point and my hip point, and then I will connect the 2 points together in a straight line. I'll be coming down by 1 inch from my bust point. I don't want my dart getting to my nipple directly, that's why I'm coming down by 1 inch. Okay, and on the waistline, I'll be coming in by 0.5 inch on both sides for my dart intake of 1 inch. I will then connect the 2 points to the 1 inch, okay, I came down with earlier. For the down part of my dart, I'll be coming down by 4.5 inches, okay, and then I will connect it to the dart intake with my ruler. Next thing I'll be doing is to impute my body circumference. On the bust line, I'll be coming in for my bust circumference divided by 4 and mark it out, and then I will add up 1.5 inch for seam allowance. And on the waistline, I will come in for my waist circumference divided by 4, and then I'll be replacing the 1 inch for my dart intake, and I'll also add up 1.5 inch for seam allowance. And on the hip line, I'll be coming in for my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches for seam allowance. And after that, the next thing I'll be doing is to connect all the points together. I'll be connecting the bust to the waist to the hip point this way. Okay, and I'll be cutting the parts I don't want from the fabric before I focus on the asymmetric neckline and the waistline. I'll be adding a 0.5 inch joining allowance at the shoulder of the top, the armhole of the top, and at the hem of the top. Okay. After cutting it out, the next thing I'll be focusing on is the neckline. So my neck width is 3 inches, but I'll be coming in by 2.5 inches. 0.5 inch will be used for turning of the neck. This is because I'm actually cutting directly on the fabric, okay, not on the pattern paper. My total neck depth is 7 inches. I'll be coming down for the figure, but I will need to get a round neckline before I can achieve the neckline I want. So I came down by 3 inches, and then I'll connect the 3 inches to the neck width in a curved line, and I'll cut that out first before I will then open up my fabric, okay, the wrong side facing me. From one side of the shoulder, this is where you decide where you actually want your asymmetric neckline to face. From one side of the shoulder, I'll be coming in by 3.5 inches, and I'll mark it out. I will then draw a straight line to meet the full front neck depth, okay, and after doing that, I will then connect it to the other side of the neckline this way with my ruler, leaving a 0.5 inch joining allowance. I will then cut along the line. That's all for the asymmetric neckline. Moving on to the asymmetric waistline, I will be extending the waistline to the other side of the top. I will then come down by 2.5 inches and connect that new point to the other side of the fabric this way with my ruler. I'll then cut that size out, and that's all for the front part of the top. I'll be focusing on the back. I'm gonna head to fold another fabric in two. I place my front piece on it this way, and I left a 1.5 inch zipper allowance to the center of the fabric, okay. For my front neck depth, I will be coming down by 1 inch, and I will then connect the point to the neck width in a curved line this way, okay. So the next thing I'll be doing is to eliminate any form of zip bulge that will form. I'll be extending my waistline to the zipper allowance, okay, and then I will now come in by 0.5 inch on the line. I will then connect that point to the neckline in a straight line, and also connect it to the end of the top also. This 0.5 inch that I removed from the zipper allowance, I'll be replacing it on the sides of the gown this way and connect it to the fabric. I'll just be drawing the full length of the top across the back of the fabric in a straight line. This is to enable me get the top correctly, and I will then cut the part I don't want from the back of my top. On the armhole of the back, I will just be imputing a straight line, okay, so it will not be curvy like the front. After I'm done cutting the parts I don't want for my back, okay, I'll be opening my fabric, the back piece of my fabric this way in order to get the asymmetric waistline, okay. I will then join the two sides of the back together directly on the zipper allowance, right side facing me. I'll then place the front piece on top of it and adjust it till both the front and the back are equal. And when I'm sure they are equal, I'll be curving the neckline of the back to fit the front this way, and then I will cut it out. And for the hem of the dress, I'll be cutting it exactly like the front, and that's all on the drafting, okay. But before I go into the sewing fully, let me explain the dart intake for the back a little bit, okay. The dart intake for the back, we start from the chest line, that is the end of the armhole, okay. I will then connect it to the waistline like this, like the front. I'll connect it to the dart, okay. While the down part of the dart for the back, the length will be longer than the front, which is 5.5 inches. That is 1 inch longer than the front dart intake. I will connect it to the waistline. So that's for the back dart intake. Please note that I'll be transferring it to the back. I'm just giving you guys a clear example on how I'm going to transfer the dart to the back. I will be cutting a lining for both the front and the back piece of the top, and I will come back and show you guys when I'm done doing that. And this is it after I was done cutting out lining for both the front and the back. The next thing I'll be doing is to sew the dart intake for both the front and the back. Whatever I'm doing to the fabric, I'll be doing to the lining. There is a way I actually do this to make it easy to sew the dart. I'll place all the fabric together, and then I'll fold them in two on the dart area and iron it properly. Iron it this way so that the line where we sew the dart will reflect on both the lining and the fabric, making it easy for me to locate where to sew the dart. This helps save time. And after I'm done ironing, I'll be transferring the dart to the other fabric and lining to make it easy to sew my dart. And this is it after I was done sewing the dart for both the lining and the fabric. From now, I'll only be showing the fabric, because whatever I'm doing to the fabric will be the same thing I'll be doing to the lining. So I don't want to waste much time on this video. So I have gone ahead to bring in the front and the back of my fabric after sewing the dart for both of them. And I also iron it out properly. I'll be placing the front fabric right side facing me. I will then place the back piece on it this way, right side facing each other, making sure that the shoulders are equal. And then I'll now sew the shoulder of the top by 0.5 inch joining allowance with my machine. And this is it after I was done sewing the shoulders together with the 0.5 inch joining allowance. And please don't forget, whatever I do to the fabric, I will do same to the lining. I'll be sewing the both sides of both the front and the back together with the 1.5 inches joining allowance I added to the fabric, okay? And I'll be doing the same thing to the other sides. And this is it after I was done sewing them, okay? I'll be bringing in my lining to sew the neck of my top. I'll be joining the lining to the fabric on the neckline, right side facing each other. And then I will go over to my machine to sew from the back neck to the front neck and to the other side of the back neckline, okay? And I'll be sewing them together with a 0.5 inch joining allowance. So this is it after I was done joining them together, and I also double stitch the allowance to the lining. I'll be turning it to the right side and give it a good press so it can stay properly. So after I'm done, I'll be turning it back to the wrong side, and then I'll be joining the zipper allowance of both the lining and the fabric together, and I'll sew them together with a 0.5 inch joining allowance. This is it after I was done sewing them together. I'll be turning the right side of the fabric out and give it a good press. So this is it after I was done. The next thing I'll be doing is to attach a zipper to my dress. But before doing that, I'll be joining the zipper allowance together this way. I will then come up from the hem of my top by 2 inches and in by the 1 inch zipper allowance remaining all the way to the hem of the top, and then I'll draw a straight line. So I'll be sewing on this line that I created, and the remaining will be where I will attach my zipper, and I'll be doing this offline. After I was done attaching the zipper to the top, next thing I'll be doing is to get the sleeve of my top, and I'll be measuring the armhole to get my armhole curve to use. Mine is 9 inches after I measured. For the sleeve, I've gone ahead to fold my fabric in 4, that is for the 2 sleeve. And before I fold it up, I make sure that the length is my sleeve length of 8 inches plus 2.5 inches for allowance, and one side of the armhole curve, which was 9 inches that I measured, not adding any extra inches, should just be that 9 inches that I measured. So please do the calculation before you fold your fabric, okay? And from the tip of the fabric, I'll be coming down by 0.5 inch. This will be my joining allowance for my sleeve, and I'll be drawing a straight line at the top, okay? I'll be coming down from the line by 3.5 inch for my sleeve cap, and then I'll be drawing a straight line across the fabric. And to get this, that is the sleeve cap, divide your bust circumference by 10 to get yours, okay? On the first line, I'll be coming in from my armhole curve that I measured earlier, -1. Mine was 9 inches. I then another -1 inch from it, which is now 8 inches in total. I will then draw a straight line on the point. I'll connect both lines together in a diagonal line. I will then divide the diagonal line by 2. Okay, I'll divide the first line by 2 and the second line by 2. I'll be coming up by 0.5 inch from the first new point and then 0.5 inch from the second new point. I will then connect all the points together this way with my ruler. Just watch closely how I'm doing mine to get it correctly. This is for the front of the sleeve, so let me just measure to make sure it's the 9 inches for my armhole curve. So you can see it's actually correct, the 9 inches for my armhole curve. Then for the back of the sleeve, I will just be creating a curved line from the tip of my sleeve to the end of the sleeve, okay? And then I'll be adding up a 1 inch joining allowance at the sides of the sleeve. And on the hem of the sleeve, I'll be coming in for my round sleeve measurement divided by 2 plus 1 inch for seam allowance, and then I'll be connecting them together this way. After connecting them, I'll be cutting the part I don't want out. And when I get to the top, I'll be leaving a 0.5 inch joining allowance to the back, and then I'll lift the fabric up and cut the front by leaving a 0.5 inch joining allowance. That's all for the drafting of the sleeve. I'll be folding the hem of the sleeve by the 2 inches I added and notch so it will reflect to the other sleeve, and it will make it easy for me to sew the hem out. After doing that, I'll be keeping one sleeve aside, and whatever I'm going to do to one sleeve, that's what I'll be doing to the other sleeve. I'll be folding the hem of my sleeve by coming in 1 inch twice to eliminate the 2 inches hemming allowance I added, and I will sew them together with my machine. And this is the both of them after I was done sewing the hem. I'll be joining the sides of one of the sleeves together, and I'll be coming in by the 1 inch joining allowance I added before, and I'll be going over to my machine to sew on it. And I'll be doing the same thing to the other sleeve. And these are the both sleeves. After I'm done sewing the sides, I'll be notching them. I'll be notching the center of the sleeve, okay, so that I will know where I'll be attached to the top. So I'll be bringing back my top. I will then turn the right side of my sleeves out, okay, and then I'll place my sleeve this way to my top on the arm, making sure that the sides of the sleeve and the top are facing each other, and I'll pin it down to secure it. And I will also make sure that the place I notch on the sleeve should be on the shoulder of the top, okay. I'll make sure I place the front of my sleeve. There's actually the front of the sleeve and the back of the sleeve, so I'll make sure that I'm placing the front of the sleeve to the front of the fabric and the back of the sleeve to the back of the fabric, so that the sleeve will come out properly. After I'm sure I've placed it properly, I'll be going over to my machine to sew them together with a 0.5 inch joining allowance. Same applies to the other sleeve, and this is it after I was done joining the sleeves to the top through the armhole. I'll be turning the right side out to focus on the gathers of the top. The full length of the top I'm working with is 30 inches. I'll be remeasuring the length of the top to get the remaining inches I want for the gathers, and I'll be using that remaining inches to get the fabric I'll be using for the gathers of my top, okay. I will also remeasure the round of the hem of the gown to get the amount of fabric I need, and whatever I get, I will multiply it by 3 to get the fullness of the gathers I need. So I've gone ahead to cut fabric that is the width I want, and the length is actually 9 inches, 7 inches for the remaining length of the top, 1.5 inches for hemming allowance, and 0.5 inches for joining allowance. I'll be folding the hem of my fabric with my machine by coming in 0.5 inch and then 1 inch to eliminate the 1.5 inches hemming allowance I added, and I'll be sewing them together with my machine. And this is it after I was done. I'll be creating pleating with the fabric to the hem of my top this way all around the fabric, and I'll be sewing them together with a 0.5 inch joining allowance. So this is it after I was done sewing them together. I'll be interlocking this later, and that's all on how to make this beautiful top with an asymmetric neckline and an asymmetric waistline with gathers, okay. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for more interesting videos like this. Bye guys.